Hi Tom, thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. No, thanks for having us on. Doing all right. Yeah, I'm just up in Hull at the minute. Um, yeah, I've been rehearsing with the rest of the boys this week, just like getting ready for our first show at the end of the month. Yeah, we're playing like an all dayer thing in Nottingham. Yeah, that's going to be the first one that we do this year, so just trying to get ready for it.
How are rehearsals going? All right.
Yeah, it was really fun. We did two. We did one on Sunday and one last night, and then yeah, first one. It takes us a minute to warm up, um, and but yeah, last night was actually really good. We got there in the end. It was cool.
Before we start, you mentioned that you and Lloyd are going to start writing some new material. How much can you tell us about
Yeah, well, it's all of us really, not just me and Lloyd. Me and him have worked on stuff individually a little bit, but we tend to just always bring things to life like all together properly. Do you know what I mean? Me and Stewie, because Stewie's going to be playing guitar with us again. Um, yeah, so me and Stewie have been working on a little bit as well. Um, but yeah, we haven't got too far with it yet. We're gonna revisit some old stuff as well that never saw the light of day. So there's a couple of bits there that you know, we're still really into, and we feel like it's pretty good, you know. So yeah, we're gonna look at that as well. Uh, Booked in the studio in May actually, so we are gonna hopefully get some out by the end of the year.
that? Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of Paddington fans will look forward to
Yeah, it's been a while, so it'd be good
that.
to get it out.
You mentioned you don't live in Hull anymore. I don't know where the others live, but do you not see each other that much anymore then, unless it's for like shows and stuff?
Uh, no, we do. Like we try to, obviously not as much as we'd like to. Like we've like most of us have got kids, and um, the other stuff gets in the way. But yeah, we try to, and I come up here quite a bit because I've got a kid, so I'll bring her to see my parents and stuff. So we do try and we try and hang out a bit. Uh, yeah, me and Stewie's in Margate. I live in London. Josh is in New York, but he's not going to be coming back for these these shows. But yeah, then the rest of the guys are in Hull.
All right, yeah, yeah. Well, with my musical guests, I like to go back to the start, really. What was
Yeah.
your childhood like in Hull, and when did you first take an interest in music?
Right. Yeah, I've got musically like I had a bit of a weird one got when I hit like 13 or something. I was actually into like rave music for a minute, and like I think I start as a kid. I was really like I'm from quite a musical family. Like my sisters were into it, and they're really they're really good singers, and they played in bands and stuff. Only local stuff, but yeah, and my dad like influenced us all on that. Um, he played guitar, so there was always guitars knocking about when I was a kid. Um, it took me a while to get there with it. To be fair, I struggled to play guitar. Still do. Um, but yeah, it all it all came from family really, and like you know, music memories as a kid is like a lot of being in the car. There's always
Yeah.
going on holidays and stuff like that, like going to the caravan sites and stuff. We used to go to this place near Scarborough, and I just remember listening to music a lot then, and it was always either stuff my sisters were putting on, which is like Fleetwood Mac and stuff like that, or it was like Bob Dylan. My dad was a mad Bob Dylan fan, still is. But yeah, so like it started there, I don't know if I ever fancied myself as a singer back like when I was that young, but yeah, then like uh when I was at school, like I think probably the kids I was hanging out with somehow got into rave music for a minute. and then um and then like later on in school, like when you're at school you kind of your mates change every 5 minutes, don't they? And like you find your feet and you figure out who you're actually pals with. And yeah, so then like I discovered like the Stone Roses, and that was it. Just kind of changed there for me. And it was also a big. There was like a big influence coming from my sister's boyfriend. She's still with him now, actually. Um, but yeah, he was a big influence on me in music because he like when I was about probably like 14 or 15, I he introduced me to like indie music and like Stone Roses. There's all sorts of stuff, but like Oasis, obviously. Yeah, so all that kind of stuff. That's kind of where I started to fall in love with like guitar music properly, and I would try my hardest to play guitar, but I was just so shit. So I would always get other people to do it. Um, yeah, and I guess that's kind of where I figured out that I wanted to be a singer. Probably because I was so shit on guitar. I was like, better try and learn how to sing a bit. I think I managed it in the end. I'm probably, yeah, yeah, I was all right.
So from this point, how long was it till the Paddingtons like got together?
Yeah, good question. Right at the end of school. So
Oh, really?
yeah, me and Josh went to school together, but he originally wasn't in the band anyway. So what happened was I had a mutual friend with Lloyd, and this is where it started. So me and Lloyd kind of started the band. So yeah, I met Lloyd through this lad called Alex um, at this house party, and we were just like, I think we were trying to play it cool in front of each other as well. It was a bit weird, and we were obviously a bit stoned, and but yeah, he had these pink sunglasses on. I was like, fucking hell, he's all right to be fair. Looks quite cool. Probably looks really fucking embarrassing as well, but yeah, that was kind of where it started, and then that was it. We'd like started hanging out with each other, me and Lloyd, and yeah, and then we weren't really like our mate who introduced us. We actually yeah we didn't really hang out with him anymore, and that was it. Yeah, it was like weird. It was cool. It was really cool. And then Lloyd was like, right, I've got a little brother. I mean, he's not like a little brother. He's only about a year younger or whatever. But he's like, yeah, my younger brother, and I'm the same age as Grant. To be fair, so he was like, right, he can drum, and that was it. And then Marv went to college with Lloyd, and he couldn't really play guitar either. And at the time, Lloyd was playing. I'm trying to remember correctly now. So Lloyd was playing guitar at first, and we didn't have a bass player. So him and Marv would play guitar, I was singing, Grant was drumming, and yeah, Lloyd eventually was like, "Do you know what? We need a fucking bass player. I'll just play bass," and that was it. We were a four piece for a bit. Um, yeah, there's obviously a lot more to the story, and then yeah, we would rehearse in my dad had like this workshop. Actually, I think we started rehearsing at my mum and dad's house. So we'd like literally set up in the living room and fucking do everyone's head in, like especially the neighbours. Yeah, so we started rehearsing at my mum and dad. I'm here now as well. I'm actually at my mum and dad's right now.
Let's say, wow, sure.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so that's how it started there. And then my dad also had this workshop, so he was like, right, get out of my fucking house. You can use the workshop. So it was freezing as well. Like I'll never forget it. Like one of the memories of that place was just it was absolutely freezing, and um, yeah, we had these massive like industrial heaters in there, and they were just like blowing on us, like trying to keep us warm while we were trying to fucking write these songs. Yeah, and that's kind of it. And we were a four piece for a while, and then I was like, you know what? I've got a mate at school who's also learning to play guitar, and we were all like, very beginners. Well, Lloyd and Grant actually, to be fair, they'd they'd played in. I think they'd played in a band at college or something before, and they'd obviously like because there was a bass because they had a drum kit. Grant had a drum kit. They would, I think they'd played together, obviously like as kids. Um, but yeah, and then the rest of us were still kind of learning on the job kind of thing. And yeah, then Josh came in, um, and that was it really. That was the beginning.
You know them earlier rehearsals that you did together, were when you were writing songs, is there any songs from then that ended up on the debut? Or was it just practicing at that point?
Um, the very first rehearsals, I don't think so. Like the ones where we were called the Codheads as well before for probably for about 2 days or something. But yeah, I think when we was a four piece, we were like, yeah, we're called the Codheads, just because it was from Hull, and I think that's what people from Hull were called. Uh, and yeah, but I'm trying to think, but I don't think there's any of them songs. I think the first song that we'd written was 21.
Oh, really?
That was probably like a little bit further down the line when I think we were still rehearsing at my mum and dad's house there.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think 21 was probably written here because in the living room. But I think that was like the earliest one. We did I don't some like people from Hull that saw us really early on might remember the song Godfrey. We had this song Godfrey, and that was a song that we had right from the beginning, but it never made it like never made it onto anything. But yeah, it was kind of Lloyd had written it at college. It was one of his really, it's probably like the first song he'd written or something like that.
How come it didn't make it on anything though? Like just
It just didn't really make sense. I think like we'd developed and like moved on a lot since then.
yeah.
It was quite a funny song. Maybe we'll be able to find it online somewhere. I don't know.
I'll have a look. Yeah. Well, you met these early days. What can you remember getting your first gig and all these early gigs you play and stuff?
Yeah, I mean most of it was in Hull, obviously, but yeah, there was we just go play pubs. Like our first ever gig we did was in this pub in Cottingham where me and Josh went to school, which is like this little like village outside of Hull. It's basically Hull, but yeah, there was this. We booked a gig at this pub called Cross Keys, and we turned up and we sound checked. I think we sound checked to Pretty Vacant, and they were like, "Nah." They were like, "Get the fuck out." They yeah, that was it. They were like, "You can't play," and we were like, "What?" It was like we've got like 100 people coming down to watch us. It was like our first ever gig, and yeah, so they kicked us out, and we were like, "Right, what we're we gonna do?" So we went to the next pub along. And we're like, "Look, we're a band. It's our first ever gig, and we we've been kicked out of the pub that we're meant to be playing at. So can we play it?" And they were like, "Yeah, go on then, bring stuff down." They let us in. So we changed the venue like real last minute, and we managed to still play. Um, yeah, and like everybody just came there. It was good. That pub's been knocked down now as well. It got knocked down a few years ago. But yeah, it was quite mad. They just they were like, "Nah, you don't fit in round here."
You know, like you mentioned, people coming to that gig. Was that like family and friends, or had word got around at that point?
It was pretty much our mates. I think the only people had probably seen us rehearsing and shit like that, but yeah, I think my mum and dad, my aunties even came, maybe my sisters. Yeah, everyone's parents were there, and like, we were so young. We were like, I think we must have been 17.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's quite mad.
Is there any early gigs that stick out to you?
Oh, my memory's so bad on this. There's obviously so many of them. There's some footage of one somewhere actually that I saw recently, and it was another pub that's also been knocked down, um, around the corner from where I am now, and yeah, that for some reason that one stood out because it was a bit, it was probably like our fifth or sixth gig or something, and it was this place called the Turnpike, and yeah, there was just, I remember it was pretty rammed, and we were like, oh, this is actually, we were like, this is, people are actually coming to watch, So it kind of felt, I don't feel like it was, I'm not sure we were like, oh yeah, this is getting real by that point, but it did feel like we were getting somewhere. And
Yeah.
yeah, I saw some footage, fucking hell. I had this real baggy leather jacket on. It looked awful. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
So, what was it like playing gigs in Hull and then when you went to different cities and played other gigs?
Um, yeah, like ones that stood out really were when we started to leave Hull a little bit. There was one particular gig actually that we played in Scarborough before we'd gone anywhere really, and we ended up playing. We played this show with the IVs, which is the singer of that band was Steve Scarborough Steve. I don't know if you know anything about him, but he was in the Libertines before they got signed, I think. Um, yeah, he was in like the first lineup of the Libertines. He sang for a bit, and we met him, and and he basically was like, oh, like he really digged it, and he was like, uh, he started mentioning Pete, and he was like, oh, I reckon Pete would be into it, and that's when we started to get invited down to London a bit. So like that one was like, I guess it was quite important that gig, even though it probably wasn't the best gig that we've ever done, obviously, but you know because we met Steve there, that kind of led us to getting to moving down, not moving down, but like moving towards playing out of town a bit more. And that was when we played our first, like, we played this squat gig in King's Cross. And yeah, it was just loads of like Portuguese punks there who were like living in this squat. And our mate Steve, well, he's our friend now. At the time, we didn't really know him, but yeah, this guy Steve that we met, um, he he lived there as well with his girlfriend, and they were like they'd put on these gigs. So yeah, we that was like our first thing that we ever did in London, and then he it got raided by the police, I think, as well. So we had to like, I think we were like halfway through a set, and either that or we didn't even get to play. I can't remember. But yeah, that was kind of the first thing we did, and then from there, some of the other ones that stand out is the ones where we'd end up supporting either Libertines or Baby Shambles, or just Pete on his own. Like he'd do gigs at the Rhythm Factory in Whitechapel, and that's basically where we got signed. So we'd play these like all nighters, and this legend who's no longer with us, R.I.P. to Johnny Rhythm. Yeah, this guy Johnny Rhythm would put these gigs on at the Rhythm Factory, and they'd go on until like 4 in the morning. So we'd Pete would always have like the prime spot, obviously, because it was like based around him, and then there was all these other bands like Selfish Cunt, um, the Mardus, the Unstrung, Oh, so I mean, the list goes on. I remember the guy from Senseless Things had a band called the Lambs as well, and like they used to play. Um, and we would, I think this one particular night where Alan McGee was there, which is basically where we got signed. Uh, he he was there. I think we played at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and it was mad. Like I don't know. Well, I do know we were still awake, but yeah, it was kind of weird going on that late. But it was good. Like everyone was still out, and like it was just like like just the whole energy around that scene was just like I don't know. You just can't even you can't buy it. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was something really exciting, and yeah. So that was it. We played this show at like 3 in the morning, and then afterwards, Alan McGee was like, "Oh, I really like your band," and he was like, "You remind me of the Saints," and we didn't know who they were at the time. After that we checked them out and stuff. But he was like, "Oh yeah, I want to put a single out here," and that was kind of it. That was where it that like we had the songs, but we also was just like working hard, doing those gigs, and just being in the right place as well. It's a bit of everything together, and yeah, that was kind of that was our first thing. So I guess what I'm saying is that one stands out to me for that reason. And then we had Leeds Festival, which was later on, obviously. Like we played in a tent at Leeds, one of the tents. I can't remember which tent. I think it was Carlin at the time, like one of the Carlin stage at Leeds Festival. That was a that was one of the best gigs we've ever done, I think.
Really?
Uh, yeah, we packed the tent as well. It was just this. I just really remember that one. Um, I've got to take I've got to do a little nod to the Adelphi in Hull because like I don't really remember doing a bad gig there, like and it's just if you've never been to the Adelphi in Hull, you should go one day if you're ever if you're ever in Hull anywhere. But it's just like a legendary venue, It's one of them old it's like it's a house with a venue on the back, and the
Really?
guy, yeah, Paul Jackson, the guy who owns it, he's just a bit of a local legend. He's had everyone on there. Like, think of a band from the '90s, and they all played there before they got big. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Radiohead, Oasis, like Pavement. There's loads of cool stuff. Um, but yeah, Adelphi's definitely just. I can't even put my finger on one of like a specific gig, but yeah, we've had loads of good shows there. And then another one has got to be the QMU, I think it's called, in Glasgow. We did this tour where it was like at our peak where we were like selling out. We sold out this tour, and we were playing like 2,000 people a night, and it was like our biggest at the time. And I just remember the QMU Glasgow one was like it was just mad. Playing in Glasgow is back there. It's still now anyway. Even if we play shows there nowadays, it always just goes off a bit, and they're always quite memorable.
Yeah, there makes me a good crowd
And
in Glasgow.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just good fun. Scottish people are just legends, aren't they? But another one as well. Like we went to Japan. That was really special. Like did that a couple of times. And then another one as well was we played in Moscow once. We did 2 nights in Moscow, and that was just like kind of surreal as well. So yeah,
What would the audiences like out there? 'Cause you'd think a band like that with that British, you'd think it was just a British scene, wouldn't you? But when you're playing like Moscow and Japan, what were they like?
yeah, like Japan was really like surreal. Like getting off that flight and just being like, we was only young. Like We went twice actually. I think first time we must have been like 19 or something. And it was just like, yeah, it was surreal. Like there was people at the airport waiting for us and stuff like that. So it was just like, it was,
Crazy, isn't
kind of like, oh, we've got fans over here. And
it?
one of them had made me a cake as well. And it was just it was amazing there. Like the reception and like, just like, they're just so nice. Yeah, it was really cool. I'd love to go back actually. I think we're going to try and do that at some point. Um, Moscow, I can't remember as much. But like again, people just really nice to us there as well.
Yeah,
And
you
it was cool. It was fucking cold.
do.
Me and Marv got lost actually.
We're colder than the rehearsal room.
Nah, not that cold.
You got lost in Moscow, what you say, sorry.
Yeah, me and Marv ended up going to some house party. Well, it was like, yeah, this house party in this big block of flats. And we got in this car after our gig with like some fans. And we, they were like, oh yeah, come to this house party. So we was like, yeah, yeah, I'm up for it. I think everybody else went to bed for some reason. I can't remember why. And our tour manager was just like, don't. We were like, nah, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. And they were like, yeah, we've got to go tomorrow. We're flying back home tomorrow. I was like, yeah, yeah, we'll be fine. And then um, we, yeah, we got in this car and we were driving for, it felt like for about 2 hours because it's obviously massive. I mean, it might not have been 2 hours. Maybe I was pissed, but like, we were in the car a while. And me and Marv was kind of looking at each other going, mate, where are we going here? We're going like miles away. And like when you can't really read road signs and stuff like that, it was just a bit concerning. So we get there. It was quite a good party, and we ended up falling asleep for a bit, and then we woke up in the morning and we were just like, mate, like how do we get back? And we eventually did it on like the underground, but we couldn't read any of the signs or anything. We were just like, tour manager was on the phone, just kind of like where I am. We were like, no idea. We obviously got there, but yeah. As far as that, yeah, they're the gigs that are standing out. I mean, there's so many more. We've had some real good ones. ULU as well. Like we played the London University once, and I was actually listening to it the other day because we've got a full recording of it, and that one was pretty good because that was like our biggest headline in London to that day, and yeah, pretty good.
When did you realise there were this buzz around this indie scene in the 2000s? When did it feel like something was happening?
It's hard to say really. Everything kind of happened so quick, and like I just find it hard to like pinpoint stuff. But I guess like that scene that we had going on, which was in London mainly. We also had a really good scene in Hull as well. We'd kind of kicked things off a bit because we were getting a bit of interest and stuff, and it all kind of it was all pretty much around the libertines.org. So the Libertines at the time had this like forum. We had one as well eventually, but we yeah, everyone would post on there. So like and the Liberty, that kind of the scene at the time was so like connected between the artist and the fans. It was like it felt like the first time that this was kind of happening as well. Or maybe not. Maybe that's not true. But like, you know, I remember being a kid and I was obsessed with say Ian Brown, and like they felt so out of reach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the scene that we were involved with was really different to that. It was like we were connected to the fans. We'd hang out with them. We'd go to parties after, and like I think that's what really made the scene quite special. And like um, there was a bit of a shift in that. Like all of a sudden, we had Britpop and stuff, and then there was like the back end of the 90s where don't really know what was going on, but didn't really know what to listen to at the time, and I was just kind of wasn't sure if I was even into it or not. But I was listening to like I don't know blue tones and stuff like that, um, and and then obviously the Strokes came around and it all shifted and it was just a massive change in the whole thing. And like I say, yeah, it became like a massive connection between us and the fans.
Was it competitive or was it like you were all there for each other? I know you mentioned Pete like gave you your first show down south,
Mm.
but was it still like competitive with other bands?
No, I really don't think it was. Like it was never competitive. We were all in it together. Uh, Everybody supported each other. We'd all go and watch each other. We'd do like we'd do these shows with us all on the bill sometimes, and then we'd maybe tour with the others, or do shows with the Cribs or the Unstrung at the time. That band would like taking off a bit. I don't know if they even ended up releasing their album, but uh, you know, we were kind of taking off at the same time as them, so we'd all support each other, and we did this. We did a we did a tour where we were camping, really weird, and we'd all just like because we were on a budget, we booked these shows all around the country, but we'd camp out in the cities. And we just that was with the Unstrung. But yeah, there was no it wasn't competitive at all. Really, we were just all mates, and it was just like that was like the that was the good thing about the scene as well. It was just like a community,
Yeah.
um, and it felt like we were all just in it together.
NME was still massive at this point. Would you be like looking through it, seeing what they were saying about the band and stuff? Was it like that back then?
Yeah, I think we definitely, especially on like gig reviews and stuff like that, you'd always be interested to see if anyone was slagging us off on or bigging us up. I think we had a pretty good relationship with the enemy though. Like
Yeah.
they gave us a good review on our first album, and like we'd always have Mark Berman would always come and watch us. He used to be around a lot. Um, yeah, I think he was a fan, and yeah, I think they were kind of on our side, definitely at the beginning, anyway.
It was the early days of the internet. Social media wasn't really a thing at this point, was it? But you had the forums, like you mentioned, the Libertines one, and yours came a bit later on. Do you wish you had social media at that point, or would you have rather done it how you did it back then?
No, I wish we didn't have social media now either.
Do you really?
I mean, maybe I'm just like sounding really old, but I just think I think life was just so much easier without it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I do know what you mean.
It's obviously great, like it's a really good tool now, but it's changed like stuff like that. Like LimeWire came in, and I mean that's not going off the social media thing, but like you know things started to change when like LimeWire came in, and all those platforms where you could illegally download, and it just changed everything, really, didn't it?
Yeah,
Uh, and I think, and obviously then Spotify came, and then all your social medias and stuff. Like it's a good thing in some ways, but like I do just wish I didn't go on my phone every 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. There's definitely pros and cons to it, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to say because nowadays, you know, you, you can use it well, but like I don't know, it does kind of feel like the industry was ruined a little bit by all that shit.
We'll get onto the album soon, but did you notice a shift from the first album to the second album within the music business?
Yeah, well, I'll go back to the LimeWire thing. I think that had obviously changed things massively, but we did take too long, like we took too long in between albums. We were like all over the place. We were always on tour. You know, we just I don't even know what happened, to be honest, with that. But like we had an album at one point kind of ready, a batch of songs, and then we scrapped them, and then we kind of started. We moved on a little bit, and yeah, we took a long time, and then obviously we got we got dropped as well, like whilst we were recording. So um yeah, the like that that obviously changed a lot. Um and then we went into a bit of a DIY mode about it, and we continued and we recorded it still, and then yeah, we ended up putting it out ourselves with the help of like some investment as well. But yeah, we had to kind of do it without a label, you know.
What was it like recording the debut album, First Comes First, with Owen Morris?
Yes, this was fun. We were all massive fans of Owen as well because you know, growing up listening to Oasis a little bit, we obviously knew who Owen Morris was, and then having Alan on our side, you know, that led us to that being an option, which was amazing for us because, like, you know, that was what we wanted at the time. I mean, yeah, it's what we wanted. Like, it was ace. It was like it was mad. Like, you hear stories about Owen Morris and they're true. You know what I mean? We first recorded Panic Attack with him, and it was kind of a bit of a tester. And we was like, right, let's do a single, and then which could potentially lead on to doing the record with him. And yeah, so we went to Hastings at this Parkgate Studios, um, and I'm not sure if that's there anymore. But yeah, we drove down there. We meet him in this pub that was local to the studio, kind of in the middle of nowhere. It was like outside of Hastings, but just like not a lot around. And yeah, so we meet him in this pub and just get pissed, and that was kind of that's kind of set the tone. You know, he set the tone. He knew what we were like because we did like to, you know, our live shows were pretty, you know, they were pretty hectic and like fueled. You know, we were never really sober. So he kind of was like, right, I know where I need to get them at. Because you know, when you're doing something like that, it's about the energy in the room, and like you got to get on a level with each other, kind of thing. And that was how he wanted to do it. I mean, we were so young as well, and we weren't going to say no. And it's kind of what we wanted anyway. So put his credit card behind the bar as well. He was just like, right, this is going behind the bar, and we just come here every day and we have a drink before we do anything.
Gee.
And then it was mad. It was yeah, it must have been one of the best experiences of my life because you know it's shit you dream of when you're a kid. Yeah, and we I guess we never knew that we'd get to that point, but we yeah, we were there and it was good. There was a lot like the recording sessions though, like it was just great, and we would we would sit in there and listen to like Pistols and stuff just to get us in the mood, and you know it'd be throwing CDs around just like looking for things, you know, like references and stuff like this. I think one of them was on a production level. I think one of the references that we had in the studio was you know, Got the name now. Oh, wait there. Gonna have to Google it. Green Day.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, fucking hell, my head went then. I was like,
yeah.
yeah. I think one of the, he was like, I want this to sound as big as this. Like in the productions, and not necessarily like on how we were sounding, because obviously we don't sound like Green Day, but yeah, there was a lot of that. Yeah, that I can't go into too much detail, but it was a mad few weeks of recording. That was for sure. Uh, yeah, very good times.
You mentioned Panic Attack there, probably your most popular song. It's definitely my favourite song from the band.
Mm.
What was that about?
Do you know what? I don't think anyone's ever asked me that, especially not on an interview. Um, Honestly, it's about Pete.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, and I don't know if many people know this. Well, people do know, but like I've never really spoke about this in a interview. But that was a song that me and Lloyd did, but like I'd started it. Um, so like it was about Pete because like we were obviously around him a lot, and you know he was an influence of ours to start with. We would go and watch the Libertines just to, we'd try and go and watch the Libertines all the time. Like before we got the band really off the ground. But yeah, that one's about Pete.
Does he know it's about him?
Don't know, probably not. It had a positive message about that one, and it was basically like he was being destructive, um, and I didn't want him to. Didn't want him to be.
What is your favourite song of that debut?
Favorite song? Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think I think it's got to be either First Comes First or Tommy's Disease, which is obviously mine. Uh,
What is that cost of like
this was
the
some,
story behind them or just how they came out?
yeah, a bit of both, but also because I like playing them live. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Tommy's Disease. It's got to be Tommy's Disease because I just love playing it live.
Well, speaking of live, it's 20 years since that debut album. You're going out playing shows in Hull, Leeds, Manchester, and London.
Glasgow as well now.
Oh, it's Glasgow there as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna announce that today.
All
Uh,
right. Well, where can people get tickets? I'll leave a link below, but is there if you want
well,
to
just
talk about?
on our Instagram, there's a link
All
to
right. Yeah.
all the shows. Yeah, we're doing London on the 25th of October, Leeds on the 16th, Manchester on the 17th, and Glasgow's now on the 18th.
All
Uh,
right.
and then we're also playing, I don't know when this is going to go out, but we're playing Nottingham in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, we're doing two shows in Hull, but they're sold out. And then we're doing a little festival in Stockton as well. Stockton, what's it called? Stockton Call.
Stockton Calling.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to do that as well.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
that'll be fun. There's some like other, Maximo Parker playing as well. From Ed's Jacket, I think.
What are these shows like? You just play the album in full.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yes, we're gonna try and maybe we might miss one song out. Yeah, maybe not do All Right in the Morning. I don't like that one. But
Don't you?
don't know. We've never. I don't think we've ever played it live, or maybe really early on we did. But yeah, we've kind of dismissed it up to now. But maybe we have to do it. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like that song. I think you should do it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it. Yeah, we're gonna do it all, and we're gonna play all the B sides as well, which has been good. Been learning them.
Yeah. Nice. Is it
Yeah,
good going back and revisiting? Does it take you back to that
yeah,
time and that?
yeah. It's been really fun. Like especially the B sides, because like we kind of just left them. We never played them live, and it's just good. Yeah, it's good to. They feel like new songs. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
obviously with the other one. like with the album, we've played it so much, and I mean, I'm really looking forward to playing it again because like it's been a minute, but yeah, like the B-sides feel kind of like new songs, so we're having to relearn them again and stuff.
Yeah, keeps it fresh, kind of. Play
Yeah,
these.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then potentially one of our new songs we might chuck in there.
yeah, nice one. Yeah, yeah. Have you
Yeah.
got any supports announced yet? Or
No, but I think we're gonna have Dustin's bar mitzvah on it in London. Do you know that band?
who? Sorry.
Dustin's bar mitzvah.
Oh no, they're good.
Yeah, they used to play shows with us. Um, back in 2006 or whatever.
Ah,
Yeah, we did a couple of tours with them supporting, and still talk to Dave quite a lot, the singer. So they're gonna like they're gonna do like a one off, like I think it might be their last show that they ever do. I don't know, but they're good. They're really good. You should check them out.
yeah, definitely will do. Yeah, yeah.
The Mardus are gonna jump on a couple as well. I think that's in Hull, and then a friend's band, a Hull band that are gonna come to Leeds with us. The Obtuse Angels, they're good. Um, Yasmin Kerr might be supporting in Manchester. She's from Hull. She lives in Manchester, and she's really good. Yeah, she's really got good over the years, and I think she's gonna support. I don't know if she knows yet. No, I'm pretty sure there was talk of it somewhere, but yeah. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be good. Like, it's a brilliant album, so it'll be good to hear it. You know what I mean? Hear it all in full if you do it all, and
Yeah, it'd be cool.
like you say, the B sides too.
Yeah,
What was it like at this time? Like, obviously, 20 years ago, when all the singles from the album are in the top 50 in the charts, and like your popularity is growing commercially and stuff. Was it hard or easy to deal with?
I don't think it was hard to deal with. Like, I don't think I don't know if we took it in that much. Like I said before, like things were just happening and we were just getting on with it. And it wasn't like we were famous, or not in a sense that we couldn't walk down the street. So it didn't it didn't make it hard for us because you know, we were just enjoying it. It was what we wanted, I guess. Like we wanted it, we wanted these things to happen so that we could continue, and keep playing shows for fans, and like just that was all we ever really wanted to do. Like we toured a lot, like
Mm.
back then, and it was all that was kind of you know that was the end the end product that we wanted to do. I guess like that was the reason for it all.
I've heard one of you say before, like at that time it was like gig, party, record, gig. You know what I mean? Like it was just
Yeah,
constant.
exactly. It was just constant, uh, and like we were just having the time of our lives, and with our mates as well. We loved each other, and it was just like, what better, what better thing to do together than tour, record, do albums. You know, it was ace, man. I don't think we particularly found it. There was obviously, there was obviously like times where we would we would get on each other's nerves and like do each other's heads in, but you know, we could deal with that. Um, there was nothing really that difficult to deal with, apart from maybe like going a bit overboard with and having to deal with hangovers.
Do you know, like when girlfriends come into it and obviously see less of each other, and like life moves on a little from it,
Yeah,
and you're not this unit anymore? Is that hard to deal with?
yeah. It was things just happened like yeah. like I moved to London and Josh moved to New York, and we did just drift apart a bit. We never officially broke up or anything like that. And I guess the hardest bit was eventually missing it
Yeah.
because, you know, at at the time, I was like, yeah, I'm happy to have the break because like it's exhausting. Like people think it's easy being in a band, and it is really fun, and you are like in this really good position that we was in. But at the end of the day, it is like it's still exhausting and like
Yeah, like that lifestyle of gig party, gig party. It's going to catch up with you at some point, isn't it?
yeah, exactly, and it gets on top of it, and you know we never really, I don't know, we never really like split, but like I say, the hardest bit was it's like anything, like when you have something taken away from you, like especially something that gives you such a buzz and like such a high, like playing in a band was just like something that we grew up doing eventually and we were so used to, and it was exactly what we wanted. But like it wasn't like we'd had it we it wasn't like we'd had it taken away from us, but in a sense we did. Like it was made more difficult, I guess, like once we had split from our label and stuff like that. So like it made it harder. That's what made it harder later on. And towards like, you know, the end of the noughties, I guess, like 2009 or whatever. I guess like that it made it harder for us. So we eventually just distanced a little bit. But we would always come back together. Like for I think 2014 we had like a bit of a reunion and it was like buzzing again.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have done an album then. I don't know. But like, you know, I guess the only hard bit was like not being, yeah, it was like missing it.
It's good it didn't end on a sour note, though. Like, you,
Yeah, exactly. We're all still mates, like,
yeah, yeah.
and we always were. There was a couple of things that got in the way, like, and we'd have fallouts, just like you can imagine, because when you tour with someone for 10 years, it's like you know happening. It.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned you started drifting away. Was that at the point of the second album, or was it still strong at that point?
No, we were good. We were good then. I think like taking the hit was obviously quite painful in a way, um, from the label. Like that obviously wasn't what we wanted, but I think we still stayed pretty strong. We've done stuff since then as well, and like did those shows with the Libertines, which was cool,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, a few years ago, and God, we've done it a couple of times with them anyway. But yeah, this time round, it really feels like we're gonna, you know, we feel like we're back a bit, and we're gonna we're gonna get in the studio again.
Why this time does it feel like you're gonna bring out new music rather than the other times? What's the difference?
Oof. Um, I really don't know. It just, I think recently I've had like these kind of thoughts where I'm just like, do you know what? Why are we not doing it? I think I'm gonna regret this if we don't do it in a way because we've attempted a couple of times and like I think we've been on different levels other times that we've tried to do it. And I think that's quite important. I think being in the same room, not, you know, like on the same level is what I mean. Like being in the same, like on the same level. Yeah, being on the same level is quite important. And I think the other times something just wasn't right, but this time, like there's a, you know, it just I can't even put my finger on it, but yeah, it feels pretty good.
Yeah, good, yeah. Well, what about that second album? Did you enjoy recording that one? Was it different to the first one, recording wise?
Um, yeah, it was very different. It was literally the opposite.
No credit cards behind Viro.
None of that. Um, we actually the producer actually banned booze from the studio as well. So he was like, no one's drinking. Pretty
Really?
pretty sure there was a bit, we would drink on the sly, but we had to respect him in a way because I think he was like a recovering,
Ah, right.
like got yeah he'd got off the booze quite recently to that time, so we had to kind of respect him in that sense, which we did. But we maybe pop out and have a couple of pints, so it wasn't completely sober. But yeah, it was really really different. We did it in Glasgow as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, we lived in Glasgow for a bit, so we had loads of mates there. So we would have parties at our flat that we had. So it was different. We'd just leave the party until after we'd finished in the studio each day. I think, yeah, that time for us as well. As I say, as I was saying before, we had like this batch of songs that we kind of scrapped,
Yeah.
and or some of them we did, and we maybe, yeah, we maybe should have. I don't know. You can't say coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Why did you scrap them though? Were you not happy with it?
I honestly don't know. So a lot of it's a blur to me because we were just like, there's so much going on, and I do find it hard to remember a lot of it, but I'm not really sure what happened there. But yeah, some of it got left, and then yeah, I think it was a weird time. I think you can even hear it in the album that it was some of it was just not right. It's hard to explain, but I love. Do you know what I love? Like half of that album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really like, and this. We're going to probably play like 5 songs from that album. Um, but then some of it, I just don't think was right, and I don't know what it was.
I was going to say, how do you look back at the album now? Is that set that?
Yeah, I think that's some. Yeah, that's it. Really, it was a weird time for us. I think without even knowing it at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and we were maybe not as connected as we were on the first album. We'd been dropped, so it all adds to it. We
yeah,
recorded it and we put it out ourselves, but yeah, I think we could all agree on that as well. I think there are some good songs on it, and I think potentially our best song is on there, which is "You and I," which I like. Uh, we've got some great songs on there, but I think only half of it is good.
that's probably coming towards the end of like proper albums as well, in it that time. Like
Yes,
now, you just flick through, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Albums that is appreciated at this time.
yeah, completely, yeah. Like I always say this, I'm like, I actually feel bad for like I've got a daughter, and I just kind of wish that they could. I mean, Spotify and have it the accessibility to music now is like it's kind of shit. Like I think that it it means like kids don't get as obsessed with an artist as much, and they can't
Yeah, yeah,
as much because remember, you'd go out and you'd buy an album and you'd listen to it constantly, and you probably listen to all of it. You can like listen to a song by one artist and then another, and like kind of it's cool in a way, but it's all. I just feel like the the like romance of it is gone a bit, and yeah, I just there's something about going out and buying an album and waiting for it to come out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going to the shop, going to HMV and waiting for an album to come out on a Monday or whatever it was. And yeah, I just think something lost there, and it changes like the obsession that like you'd get
It's
with.
like you said before as well in the car with your family, and you'd put an album on and you just listen to the whole album. Wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Nowadays, just you've got it on shuffle or whatever, haven't you?
yeah, exactly. You wouldn't just put a song on and take it out and put the next one on. You'd
Yeah, yeah,
but you'd put it, and that's what I mean. Like you're listening to a body of art. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And like it's a collection of songs that need to be played together. We did it today actually. Me and Stewie drove up. Not today. On on Sunday, me and Stewie drove up from London in his car, and he's got an old Range Rover, right? So and it's got a cassette player in it. So we had to, and he's probably got five cassettes because obviously people don't buy cassettes anymore.
Yeah.
Um, he like found these old cassettes, and we only had we just listened to whatever was in the car, and like one of them was the Complete Stone Roses, and
That's
obs-
brilliant, though, isn't it?
I obsessed over that. Like
Yeah.
some real early Stone Roses stuff on it when they were like it's quite punky, and I think like Ian Brown had his hair short and bleached blonde. Do you know what I mean? And um, that album, we just like yeah, we had that on in the car, and it's just that's what I mean. We listened to the full thing because,
Yeah.
and I think there's like some beauty in that. It's like um, yeah, it's cool, and kids don't do it now.
As a musician, does that? I know you mentioned you're going to be working on new music, but does it kind of put you off doing an album in a way?
Nah, I think you still have to do it. I think what artists tend to do now is put songs out on their own more, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I did with that solo thing that I did. Um, yeah, like, and with that, like, I was just working on songs with my own, with my mate. Well, my mate Lewis was recording me in London, and yeah, that was kind of how that came about. We'd made a bunch of demos, and I didn't really have a plan with that either. It was just like, I just I want to put them out. I had these songs. There was like four songs, I think, and I had the songs there, and they were just sat around. So in lockdown, I just, I we mixed them, and yeah, just put them out. There was no real plan. I wasn't planning on playing any shows with it, um, but yeah, I think that's kind of what people do now. Is like just put singles out,
Yeah.
uh, which is what I did with that. I just like put each song out. I think it was like a song a month or something, one song every month.
Say after this Paddingtons thing, say you go your separate ways after a year or so, would you go back to that?
Yeah, I've actually I have got other I've got plans to do. I've got this song that I'm going to put out on my own as well. It's not ready yet, but um, yeah, I've got a plan for that anyway. So I mean, I can do that at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think with the Paddingtons, we're just going to do two songs to start with this year, and the album will hopefully follow next year. We'll do like a full record. Yeah, but yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
Like you've got that song there for yourself. Why would you use that for yourself and not the Paddingtons?
It's just yeah, some songs are just not Paddington songs. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it. I mean, it could be, but I think it's it's just me and a guitar. Um, Hopefully, I'm going to get a guest vocal on it. Yeah, I'm going to get someone to collab with me on it actually. Hopefully, anyway. And yeah, it's just it just is what it is, and I think it's quite simple and it doesn't really need much else to it. So I think I'm gonna end up putting it out on, um,
Yeah.
yeah, gonna end up putting it out on my own.
You know the Ladyboy EP that came out after you split up, didn't it?
Yes. So well, we didn't split up. It,
Well, like,
yeah,
yeah.
that was when Marv left and Stewie came in again.
Ah, right, yeah.
But Stewie played with us through some of the touring of First Comes First when Marv like severed the arteries in his hand. So yeah, Stewie, that's when Stewie came in the band, and that's we knew Stewie from touring anyway because he used to play in other bands, and he was like our brother, you know. So he came in, and then Marv came back, and then when Marv left, uh, he Stewie came. We got Stewie in to make that EP with us as well, and Adam Green
Yeah.
did Lady Boy, yeah. Me, Josh, and Adam Green ended up writing that. That's how that started, really, because me and Josh wrote that song with Adam, and we were like, oh, let's build an EP around it. And that's kind of where that came from, which was also cool. Yeah, I think we toured that as well.
Well, just to finish off, really, we spoke about music and stuff. On your Instagram, you do a lot of photography. When did that come about?
Yeah, that's what I do now, as well as now the Paddingtons again. But yeah, how did that come about? Good question. I've always had a bit of an interest, um, and I started taking photos like about 10 years ago. Just like it was always a hobby over the past. Well, not always, but it was a hobby of. It started as a hobby like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I was just. I always had a bit of a. I was always intrigued by it, and I just always liked photography, and I think I was surrounded by quite a few good photographers as well, like living in London. Um, yeah, I used to hang out with this guy called Alex a lot, and he was great. Um, and yeah, it just happened. I bought a camera, and it kind of just developed, and then I figured out what I kind of liked taking photos of, which is quite a lot of things now. Um, I'm not really like I don't really have like a niche, but it started off as like street photography stuff, and then I worked out that I was pretty good at like doing portrait stuff, and I enjoyed that. I got something out of that, and like working one on one with people was I felt like I was pretty good at that, and like try and I would talk to the person a bit, and like I don't know, get you would get that emotion coming through a little bit. Um, and then I started taking pictures of bands a bit more recently, which I would like to get more into. So yeah, hopefully that is where I'm going to be going with it more. And like live stuff is another thing. I mean, there's just so many different ways of shooting, and um, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I did have a look through. There's a lot of great photos. I like to say it's some people on the street. There's portraits, band
Mm,
photos and stuff. So yeah, it's looking good for you.
yeah, yeah, no, nice one. Yeah, cheers for that. I love it. Yeah, and this is what I've always from leaving the band as well, or not doing the band so much. I was always looking from a like outlet kind of thing, and I think this is where photography came in. I would always be writing music and just making new ideas, whether I was putting them out or not. But I like needed something else, and it just like kind of organically turned into my job. Yeah, it's cool though. Pretty happy
Yeah.
with it.
Well, yeah. Good luck with that, and good luck with the
Cheers.
Paddington shows coming up.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having us on.
Well, thanks for joining me, and it was great to speak to you. I really enjoyed that. And
Nice one, man. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
no worries. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in a bit.
Right, cheers, pal. See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.